Okay, well, I know. Okay.
You,
Okay. Hey there. Do you control your emotions or do your emotions control you? Debbie and I are here tonight to talk about mastering our emotions. So, in my past, I used to let my emotions control and get the best of me. Um, I would feel like I'd failed at something, or maybe in a relationship, I'd feel intense emotions if I felt like I was unseen or unheard. And I would work myself into a blubbing mess, wondering why I wasn't good enough or I wasn't lovable, right? But since I've mastered my emotions, um, there's little that really rattles me anymore. I mean, I still feel emotions, obviously, that's part of our experience, but I don't let them control me. Um, what I found is I stopped all that self talk that happens when I feel the emotions and I feel them and then I move on. So, um, I'm going to let Deb talk a little bit here about how we can take a look at how we're looking at our emotions. And then I'm going to tell us about some tools that we can use to start changing the way we control our emotions instead of letting them control us.
woo! All right. So why master emotions? All right, that's the question, right, Deb?
It is.
If you're not in charge of your emotions, then you're letting other people be in charge of your emotions and dictate them. You don't want to be there. You want to be in charge of your emotions and not have your emotions be in charge of you. So here's one that was always, I'm sure you can relate to this one, Deb, is stuck in traffic or you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off or somebody comes up, there's a big long lineup and they come in right at the end when they're not supposed to, and I would let that get to me so badly. I would be so upset that they didn't follow the rules and go to the back of the line and they were all that. But you know what? They didn't care. I was letting them dictate my emotion, and I let them put me in a bad mood and be angry and frustrated, and it didn't mean anything to them. And the other thing is, I don't know, you don't know what's going on with that other person. Maybe they're in a hurry to get somewhere because somebody is sick, or oh, maybe their wife's at home and is expecting, and is in labor. You don't know what's on with the other person. They could just be a not a nasty person or that kind of person that cuts you off, but you don't know. And so what I've done is learn to master my emotions and not let these kind of things get to me. And so when I'm in the car or in other situations, at the grocery store when somebody wants to butt in line or whatever, I just let it roll off my back. I'm not going to let other people dictate my emotions for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So, Deb, what are some of the tools that we can use to master our emotions?
Okay. I loved your share about the traffic because it does happen all the time, right? Where you're like, hey, what are you doing? And you try to edge up there so they can't get in. I'm not letting you in. Then you finally give in because you're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, I just don't even
Right.
bother anymore. I
Right.
just
Not anymore. Right.
I just be a nice person.
Right. You're like, you must need to be there. Right. So different way of looking at it. And I love that. So,
Yes.
we've learned three different powerful tools that we can use, Debbie and I, to master our emotions. One of them is to get out of pain fast, and we call that the painkiller. So it gets rid of the pain. There's another tool that is used to transform your pain on a more permanent basis. So this is for things that like you find yourself being triggered um, kind of repetitively, like it happens once a month or once a week or even on a daily basis. There's this thing that triggers you. We have a tool for that. And then we have another tool that we know of that reduces the emotional intensity of it really quickly. Tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about, and we're going to kind of go over that painkiller, because for most of us, just getting rid of that initial response to the trigger or that thing that gets us upset is going to really kind of um, give us that calm that we need now. And then later we can talk about how to get rid of it more permanently. But our goal tonight will be to give you a tool to just regain control of yourself and master your emotions in the moment. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
and that's really great for that traffic situation.
Absolutely, right? Just be like, ah, okay,
All
right?
right,
And give
so
in.
after tonight, no more getting upset in traffic, or at least trying not to.
Right. We hope now.
It
We
is a
hope we'll help you
journey.
get through that.
But first, I have a little demo. I've got my glass of water here. So I'm going to talk about context and content. So this little glass of water, if I get it in the right place, is really a good demo for what that is. So what's the glass is the context, and the inside of the glass is the content. So that content in the glass represents our life and all of the things that are going on in our life. So that would be our job, our career, our house, our kids, our relationships, all of that kind of stuff of our life is the water in this glass. And the context, which is kind of where we're able to master our emotions, is the context. And so most people, if they're not happy, they're stirring, they want to change their life, they're stirring the water in the glass and trying to change their life. And maybe some of those things that are in your life are things that you don't like. And there's stuff that happened in the past. Well, when you're trying to change what happened in the past or just grinding on the stuff in the past, you can't change it. And so, if you really want to look at changing your life, instead of trying to stir the glass and stir the water, change the context or the glass. And that's how you can go from, how you can perceive your emotions, whether you decide to be positive or negative about what's going on in your life. Change the glass, not the water. All right. So, Deb, going to send it over to you so you can tell us how we're going to be able to manage our emotions when we are in traffic. Changing the glass, not the water.
That's right. We want to change the way we hold things that happen in our life. And a lot of our emotions get triggered by these things because we do have a past and we have experiences. And at some point, we decided or we just automatically responded to a situation in a certain way, right? And it became very emotional for us. And whenever that thing happens now, we're what we call triggered. It's just your auto response is like, you did that, now I'm going to do this, right? And we're like, and it doesn't feel very good at all, right?
Mm.
So we're going to learn what we call um, treating the knee, okay? In our scenario where we talk about these different tools for mastering our emotions, we have treating the knee, treating the shoulder, and then we have a baseball scenario where it talks about your perspective on what you're feeling, right? Just so you understand where I'm going with this knee thing. The shoulder is the real problem. Okay. So we all have this emotion that's being triggered by something that happened in our past or an event or something that just kind of really stuck with us. Like when that happens, I'm going to act like this. We might not even be aware of that deeper shoulder pain. But the tool we're going to do today is the knee. So when you go to the doctor, you're like, my knee hurts, my knee hurts. He's like, oh, here, take a Tylenol, ibuprofen, whatever, right? And he's going to treat your knee. And a couple weeks later, you're going to come back because you're going to be like, my knee hurts, my knee hurts. And unless he takes a deeper look at it and realizes it's really the shoulder, something's wrong with your shoulder, causing your alignment to be off, which is making your knee hurt, the knee pain's going to come back. Same with our emotions. We're going to get triggered. We're going to be like, that thing happened and it made me really mad and I feel horrible, right? So we're going to treat the knee though. We're just going to get out of pain fast. We're going to use the painkiller. The first thing you have to do is wake up and recognize I'm having a strong emotion here. That guy pulled up here, right? Think of a time where you feel yourself just like, ah, like just automatically, you're just upset, right? And it's strong. You have to just become aware of it. Like, whoo, I'm having a real strong emotion here over some guy cut me off in traffic, right? And you'll notice, pay attention. This might take a couple days, a week or so, right? Pay attention to that. Because if it happens, every time this happens, this is your response, it's a pattern. And you're running this pattern in your life where you're doing exactly what Debbie said. You're allowing other people to dictate how you experience your day. You know, someone cuts you off. Well, now you're mad. Now you're going to show up wherever you are, maybe a little angry, still holding on to that emotion, continuing feeding yourself negative thoughts about why that happened or how rude they are. And hey, you know, so wake up, become aware of the feeling. Okay, I'm feeling, I'm angry. And it might not even be anger. It could be frustration. It could be disappointment, right? So number one is wake up, realize you're having the feeling. Number two is identify what is that actual feeling that you're having. What's that emotion? What's that feeling? What's that emotion that you're having? Is it anger? Is it frustration? Is it disappointment? Okay. And you want to identify it. And then you also want to notice where in your body are you feeling that? Are you feeling it in your chest? Are you feeling it in your stomach? Is it giving you a throbbing head? You know, how far are you going to let this go? But recognize that, right? I'm having a strong emotion. I'm feeling it. And then you want to disidentify with it. So when you say, I'm angry, right? Now you're owning it. You're owning the anger. I'm frustrated. You're owning the frustration. If we can kind of let go of that ownership of it, we don't want to own those negative emotions, right? What we want to do is instead of saying, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm disappointed, you want to say, I'm experiencing anger right now. I'm experiencing frustration. I'm experiencing disappointment. Okay. And I know it sounds like a very trivial thing, but like I said, you're disidentifying with it. It's not who you are. You're not angry. You're not disappointed. You're not frustrated. You're experiencing anger, disappointment, frustration. That takes it kind of off of you. So now you don't have to own that. You can feel it. You can have the emotion. It's there, but you separate it from yourself. And this can also be compared to when we've talked about identity before. It's a similar thing. So when we disidentify, like if I say like, oh my gosh. So like instead of me saying I'm out of shape, right? Um, I I don't run. I can't run. It's just not something I do, right? But and I want to be healthier though. So instead of saying I'm not an athlete, I can't be healthy. And I turn it around and yes, step by step. It's not like I wake up tomorrow and go run that marathon. We've talked about this a little bit. If you've seen anything that Debbie and I have talked about before in our own post, um, it doesn't happen overnight. But if we take on the identity of an athlete or something else, then we can become that's our new identity. And we take on the identity we choose. So don't take on those negative ones, take on the positive ones. Um, and the magic happens in our fourth step of this. And that is where you observe the emotion and you allow it to flow through you. Let it be. We're not pushing it down. We're not ignoring it, but we're not feeding it. And that's the biggest step is to acknowledge you're having a strong emotion, feel it, heart, stomach, head, where's this emotion? And then let it be. Let it just come over you. But don't feed into it. And what I mean by that is that exact same thing I was saying about like if we're stuck in the traffic, don't be like, how rude. Everybody's rude. This traffic is horrible because these people are all so selfish and da da da, right? Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Just let it be. Like Debbie said, you don't know what the other person's like why they're doing it. And maybe they are facing some emergency, right? Maybe they are. We don't know. But even if they're not, they're definitely not concerned about the rest of your day. But why should that upset you? Somebody else's lack of concern for other people isn't for you to, you don't need to take that on. You don't need to be upset about it. I think for me personally, when people cut me off, I'm like, okay, go ahead, get up there. I'll wait. You know, I'm gonna get where I'm going safely, and whatever it's gonna be fine. Like I'm gonna be okay. My day's gonna go great. I'm having a good for you. Get up there. You know, go get where you're going. Please be safe. Right? I don't let it affect me. I don't feed into it with more thoughts and fuel in the fire. Like, oh, now I'm mad about, right? You can go on a whole tangent worrying about why somebody else is doing something. You don't need to do that. So practice just allowing it to flow through you and let it go. They say that what we've learned is that I think any emotion, especially the negative ones that we feel, if we don't feed it, but you have to feel it because you have to release it. Because if you push it down and don't allow it and you try to ignore it, then you end up kind of creating um, ultimately you end up creating more problems for yourself, like with physical pain, such as knee pain, just from feeling some kind of anger about something, right? But all of our emotions, if we just let them ride the wave of the emotion and let it go, let it come, let it go, turns into joy for the most part on the other side. Unless, of course, you know, they say like if you witness something really traumatic that really does affect you strongly, because you know there's a reality of life that maybe sometimes traumatic things happen or very jolting things happen, and it is discerning. Um, but if you can really start to master these emotions, even when those things happen, I'm not going to say you're going to end out in joy at the end of the 60 to 90 seconds, but you'll at least end out kind of even. You'll be more even keeled. And then later you can choose your actions and things like that. But for right now, I just want you to remember this is the painkiller. This isn't the solution to your long term dealing with that particular emotion and that response to that event. But this is something to practice in the moment to start getting better at mastering your emotions. So I think
Yeah.
try that out. It's not always easy, right, Deb? I mean,
No, it's not. But if you can, and it's really hard to dissociate from the emotion. But the
yeah,
thing is that emotion, if you don't, just keeps perpetuating. And what we learned is that it's a biochemical reaction. As Deb said, it takes about 60 to 90 seconds for that to run through your body. So if you get angry, okay, so yeah, I might get angry when somebody comes up beside me. But if I do the steps and I dissociate and just let it go, acknowledge it, but let it go. Within 90 seconds, I'm out of it and I'm having a good day. And
right.
one of the interesting things about mastering our emotions is that at the end of the day, when you look back at your life, right? Not that we want to do that right now, but if you're looking back at your life, it's not about the stuff, you know, the thing in the glass. It's not about that. It's not about how many cars you had or how much money you had in the bank or how many houses or what your relationships were like. It's about your emotions. You know, you're not looking at, you know, whether or not you should have put in more hours at work. You're looking at how you would, how your emotions. And so you get to choose. We get to choose how we handle our emotions. Are you going to be having good, happy emotions, joyful emotions? Are you going to sit in negative? It's your choice, very much so. But you
Right.
know, that's why we have the tools to help us, because on our own, yeah, not so much. And it's a journey that we're on, you know. It's a practice. Are we perfect? I don't know, Deb, are you perfect?
No, not by far. I'm still building my emotional muscles.
All right. Good to hear, because I know I'm not perfect. I have a little kitty here who every once in a while, I know I shouldn't get upset, but every once in a while he just won't leave me alone when I'm trying to work and I'm concentrating. So I need to let it go. And of course, I love my kitty and I don't want to get mad at him either.
Right.
But it's practice. And so we've really just scratched the surface. As Deb said, we just went through one of the tools to master your emotions, and we went through it very quickly. I hope that you can try it yourself. But if you want to know more about mastering emotions, send us a DM, and we'd be happy to talk to you more about those tools. Love to hear your comments. And hey, we're going to be back again next week, right? Talking about some
Yes.
more
Well,
wonderful transformation ideas.
right. Awesome. Yeah. So, yeah, for sure, let us know. And I especially wanted to say, because we only talked about this one tool, I really do. If somebody is having some kind of really strong emotions that they're feeling that they really feel are dragging them down, please reach out to Debbie or myself. We'd be glad to talk to you about those next tools, specifically even for your situation. So, because it's a serious thing when we have strong emotions that are controlling us. But other than that, start treating your knee, bring it down, and enjoy the rest of your day. And I
And
do look forward to seeing you all next week too.
yeah, and be happy in traffic. Don't let that other guy get the best of you. See
That's
you
right.
next week.
See you next week, guys.